Hey guys, some gamer dude here. So today we're going to look at the Magus cards. Now I didn't know what to feel going in. The original Magus cards were kind of meh. They worked a little bit with CEO Amaterasu, but that was about it. For any general applications in their own field, they were too clunky and didn't have the continuous feel they needed to make their abilities pay off. They just weren't very good. And by that time, CEO Amaterasu had fallen back in usability quite some. So let's hope this new lot is much better. It looks much better from the outset, and we'll start with Cuore Magus. Now I didn't know this going in, but Cuore Magus, and that is apparently how you pronounce it, is Italian for heart. Should have known that looking at the art, even the original one's art, but I didn't, and it felt stupid. But it's a grade 1 10,000 shield, 8,000 defense. On Rearguard or Vanguard, you can look at the top two cards of your deck and place them back in any order. And then it stipulates if you rode Lozenge Magus, you may activate the abilities in any order. Now, that's only because Lozenge Magus is actually in the deck. It's more a general, if multiple automatic abilities trigger at the same time, you get to choose the order in which they're set off. They probably didn't word it that way because of the fact, yes, it comes with Lozenge Magus, and to a new players meant to understand abilities, well, terms like automatic, trigger, etc., etc. So I understand why they did this. Also, in context of this being written on Vanguard Circle, and the fact you can rearrange the top two so you know what's coming up for two checks, it's maybe strictly superior to Farfel Magus. It at least has more synergy with the deck. Not that Farfel was actually bad, because she wasn't. It's just that Cuore honestly has a little bit more synergy, because she can rearrange things for trigger checks, or honestly, if you get two things you really don't need in a turn, she can make it so you can know what's coming up and then play into the idea you're not getting anything and then just bring up triggers. She works fantastically with CEO Amaterasu and Goddess of Insight Satori Hime. I honestly think these Magus cards in general will probably make Farfel Magus and Yellow Witch Mei a little bit redundant. I still think Yellow Witch Mei is still a good card, and Farfel Magus to an extent. It's just I think these kind of take their place because they give a much bigger window, even though Cuore Magus at the very least, when called to rearguard, doesn't really open up any possibilities other than you knowing. You have to use something else to synergize with it, which is where something like CEO Amaterasu comes into play, or Goddess of Insight Satori Hime. But I think it's a good card. Then we get into Rectagonal Magus. Bit more complex. Grade 2, 5,000, 9,000 defense. We've never seen her before. I think she's from the manga exclusively before. Automatic, we're placed on Rigard. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, so one of each resource. Look at the top two cards of your deck, put them back in any order, draw a card. Then automatic on Rearguard Circle, when you drive check a trigger unit, this unit gains plus 5,000 until end of turn. Which kind of meshes with CEO a little bit, in that CEO's going to be, each time you look at the top cards, which the Maguses are doing, she gains 5,000. And all these Maguses are setting, and CEO to a certain degree, is setting up this ability to hit triggers reliably. And then she gets plus 5,000 when you hit a trigger, so if you pass a trigger to her, it's a 15,000 buff. And it's per time, which is pretty interesting. Pretty darn interesting. It's pretty good in my opinion. Again, it meshes with CEO, and because you're drawing so many cards now, per turn especially, you're drawing a lot of cards. And remember, the gift gives you a card. Turns a grade 3 into a perfect card each turn. Consider that Oracle Guardian Gemini, which countercharges 1 when it goes into the soul, starts not looking so bad right now. Originally it was, I don't want to take this -1, but now you're drawing so much and it's setting up multiple trigger checks in a more organic way. Because Satori Hime now, she kind of feels a bit better, to be honest. A lot of things are just starting to mesh in with each other really well. There's a lot of synergy here, and this is what I like to see. But I'm kind of concerned, considering all that's going on, that either the deer or Imperial Daughter might be pushed out. I'm not sure if it'll happen, but there's enough to really make Imperial Daughter a little bit redundant, because there's a ton of checks going on. You got really high trigger chances for critical. Yes, she would give you the critical buff at +2 or 3, depending on how many. And the deer does help. Well, actually, the deer might be pushed out too, because if you're checking this many criticals, and we don't know if we have 12 criticals yet, we might. Which means I hope everyone uses the grade 1 perfect guard, or just relies on the gifts at this point, because that might be a very real reality, that people might have to rely on gifts and the grade 1 perfect guard because they want to run 12 critical. This is actually going to get really interesting. So, yeah, I'll stop wafting on. This whole deck's going to be... I think it actually isn't lateral movement. It's a power buff. But it's a good power buff in that it's not direct power creep. It's more synergistic cards to play into each other. We haven't seen anything strictly superior. And to me, that kind of says Vanguard's designers have finally pulled their finger out of their asses and done a good job for a change. Which means even though the VU and Force of Will to some degree are both hurting because Dragon Ball Super is doing gangbusters, they're still moving in the right direction. So anyone that is staying around is being rewarded, and I think that's a good thing. And it actually makes me really curious about where the other clans go in terms of support, because if this is where Oracle Think Tank's going, with more synergy to build off the older decks and make them work better, I want to see where this goes for everyone, because I think there's good things for everyone, and anything that's currently kind of dodgy is going to be rewarded later on. They're not going to be replaced with a newer, more powerful deck. And speaking of that, let's get to Hexagonal Magus, the big goal of the day. Your Protect Grade 3 boss monster for the Troll deck, who I think is the art from the manga, but touched up and looks quite nice. Anyways, she's your standard stats, Grade 3, Protect Gift, 12,000 power. Automatic, when placed on Vanguard Circle. Counterblast 1, look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put them back on any order and draw a card. Which is... yeah, that's actually pretty good. It's a cheaper version of Rectagonal Magus, but only on Vanguard. You get a good idea of where the costs are in Vanguard. That's actually a really good design window there, in that they're showing you how they cost these cards. That's actually nice in a meta sense. And then she has the same ability when on Vanguard or Regard. When you drive check trigger, she gains plus 5,000 till end of turn. So she becomes 27,000 if you pass trigger onto her, or 17 if you don't. Which is pretty cool. I don't have many more comments to say about her. I think you can make a decent budget deck between just her and CEO Amaterasu, and filling out your triggers a bit, maybe getting Satori Hime, and, well, we haven't seen the rest of the deck, but there's some things, because I haven't actually looked at the other grey cards, so just, I think there is a decent budget deck here. Even the other Force Grade 3 isn't bad by any regard. It's very expensive, but it's not bad. A lot of these cards are not bad, but I will say this, I do think Oracle Guardian Gemini is starting to look very, very necessary, because there's a lot of counterblast going on, a ton of it. but there's a lot of really great synergy. I noticed they're giving Oracle Think Tank a lot of finishing power to combo with different abilities. There's a lot of good stuff here. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling on. It's been over 10 minutes. That's what we need for videos, apparently. Not sure why. I don't get paid for this. Anyway, this has been Some Gamer Dude. Thanks for watching. And my opinion is, Oracle Think Tank's looking good. And I hope to see similar quality things from the other clans getting their second rounds of support. I know I haven't made Narukami yet, but we'll get to it. Anyway, I'll see you guys next video.